All right, today's topic of choice. Nobody is watching you, and that's your advantage. That is the greatest advantage of being a small content creator or a new content creator. Sounds counterintuitive, but I'll explain why it makes sense here. So, everyone wants an audience, but that very audience you might one day garner becomes a cage. It can become a cage. Now, when nobody is watching, you actually have maximum freedom. You have the space to let yourself experiment, which is awesome. Once you find a format that works, you might become kind of locked into that. Not necessarily, but like look at the people who Twitch stream. I mean, they be doing the same stuff every time most of the time. I don't know. Maybe that's not totally true, but you know what I mean, right? Once you find something that works, it's kind of easy to roll with that. But when you're small, you have room to play around, which I think is super cool. Um, Another point is that your content can suck. Your content can suck when you're starting and nobody cares since no one's actually watching you anyways, which is awesome. You should go back and look at actually don't go back and look at my content when I first started. Totally sucked. It still kind of sucks sometimes. But, you need to be willing to fail. I started making music. That was the first thing I really got into, and that was like maybe 7 years ago at this point. And the music was actually balls. I used Audacity and I used VCV Rack, which are both free programs that you can use. So I wanted to like prove to myself. Oh, whoops! I wanted to prove to myself that I could make music totally free, and I did. A lot of those tracks were probably pretty mid. It's not like it's commercially viable music, but a lot of it ended up sounding really cool, and it ended up being pretty inspiring for me. Stuff that I listened to on my own when I need to chillax. It's like, and it brings me back to like old times. You know what I mean? Which is super fun. Um, you know, that became like the first creative outlet. Then after that, I got into making videos, making more elaborate content, like filming stuff, going in with like a plan instead of winging it. I don't know, I still kind of wing it like this video. But, you know, when you start out, it's great because you allow yourself to just experiment, and it's almost more fun since you don't have the experience. Everything is new. So if you're thinking about picking up a new hobby in creative space, like that's the best thing ever, man. And the way I did it, everything was free at first for the most part until I really leveled up. I mean, right now I'm running OBS Studio and, Need for Speed Heat, which was on sale. So, I mean, you get a free program and then like a $15 game. And we're making content right now. You know what I mean? Get Chat GPT out, freaking whip up a plan. You got some stuff. What was my other point? Um, so yeah, when you start out, the small audience feels like a failure, but what it is really just cheap experimentation. It lets you experiment all sorts of video types, all sorts of content types, lets you play around, and then if you're like, wow, that was a terrible idea, okay, move on to the next video, no biggie. No one saw it anyways, or 100 views, whatever. Because the vast majority of your first videos are gonna get like 10 views. Then you'll get up to like 20, 200. You'll be in 200 view jail forever. And then eventually you'll have one breakout. It'll be like 50,000. You'll be like, oh shit, it's on. We on tonight. Tonight we ball. And then you get to the juices are flowing, and you're like, nothing can stop me. And then you're back in 200 view jail, which is fine. It's gonna happen. You got to figure out. You gotta keep playing around. Oh shit! Hit this jump. Oh, I didn't hit the sign. Shit. What else? Yeah. As you get more successful, that can actually become a cage. Like, think if I just did this type of video forever. If I had 400 of these, like, eventually, yeah, it would get boring for the viewers, and it would get boring for me. Like, you can only play Need for Speed Heat so much. You know, you can only talk over copyrighted sounds and a car that probably has its license being used without permission right now. Hint, hint. Just kidding. I didn't do anything wrong, YouTube. Please stop flagging my own videos that I repost. Jeez. Oh, shit. Next part. Yeah, so all of that morphed into how can I create like a, not a program, but like a space like that is a financial outlet to all of my hobbies and interests. And that became Genius Loci. For those of you that don't know, that's just like an app and a store that I created. But basically, it's the culmination of a lot of things. I get to create content with it. I use my own music with all the advertising. I get to do my cool car stuff that I love. It's like a all in one. But I wouldn't have got there unless I did a bunch of other random stuff first and kind of, figured out how to do those individual constituent things. Like I'm really into AI. Well, AI helped me code my website. Really into cars. Well, I kind of know what makes, a good build on an Alfa Romeo, for instance, for the 2 liters. Since I've done it, I've lived it, and I've documented it. So kind of turning all your experience into one big thing at the end. So that's why at first, you need to just experiment around and just be willing to try different things. Because, you could plow down one path. Like my music, I was plowing into music for like 3, 4 years, not getting any streams really, not really getting too much anywhere. I didn't really have the knack for producing, but it was super fun and I learned a ton. And that kind of led me to like, okay, well, I kind of have some, sound design. And I like this music thing. What else can I create? And that led me to do videos. And then from there, I learned all sorts of other stuff. So you never know where it might lead. It might start out making TikToks, and then it turns into something completely different, which is really cool. I think you never know where it might lead. So do I have a repair pack on this car? No, I don't. What's next? Yeah, people tend to get real worked up with looking stupid, and I don't think that is a big deal at all. Like, look at me. I mostly do faceless content, so you don't even have to show your face anymore if you don't want to. People can connect to your voice, to your vibe, any which way. So yeah, don't be afraid to look stupid. You know, just because you're putting yourself out there, I think makes you 10 times cooler. Anyways, not being shy. I used to be a shy little, goofy little kid growing up, and the sooner I got over that, the more self confidence I got. This isn't a self confidence course. You're not going to buy a course right now, but I would say putting yourself out there and giving your unique perspective on life, giving your unique version of what it means to be you, what you think is cool and important, is all the better. Like, you need to be doing that. You have to put yourself out there, especially if you're young. Like, how do you expect to stand out in a vacuum, in a bubble? You have to start just doing stuff. You have to be willing to fail. Failure compounds too. I mean, think of all of the random content I've made. I mean, it's got to be thousands of pieces of content that have pretty much hit 200 views. But all of those compound. That's still over. If you do hundreds of videos like that, it still adds up to 1 million at some point. And then you look back and you're like, wow, I got 1 million views. May have not come the same way that a viral OnlyFans creator can get views, but that's not you. That's not you. I know that's not you. Come on. So this all leads into like where I am now. Definitely not a person that's like, oh man, yeah, I'm here with my Lamborghini and I've pretty much made it. And if you want to too, you need to buy my course. Definitely not me. I don't think the journey is ever over. There is new things to do and to learn and to try every single day. And I think that is super beautiful. And, that's life. Genius Loci is now paying part of my bills, part of my rent. That was just some random Shopify store I had ChatGPT help me build, and a vision and a dream. So, I mean, just go for it. What do you got to lose? You fail, you get back up, you pick yourself up again, you do it again, you fail again, probably. You do that 3 or 4 times, then you built a little foundation, then you go back in the 5th time, and you're like, this time I'm going to do it right. And then boom, it works. So that's about what I got for you guys in this video. Don't lose perspective on where you came from. I would say also, and don't give up.